Okay, hello everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here. We've got another really great talk. How are the first couple talks so far? Yeah, really good? I thought they were awesome as well. Okay, so before I introduce our next speaker, I just wanted to remind you just of a couple of things. Right after this talk is lunch, and we're gonna all go find a great place in this awesome town. Ann Arbor's got great places to eat. We're going to walk there, and I definitely think it's a very important rule. You've got to go to lunch with people you don't already know. So definitely do that. If I see you just like going off on your own, or just going out, with the people I'm just gonna, keep doing that. That's why we come here. So go grab some people you don't know and go to lunch with them, or come to me and come with me, or whatever. So that's really important. And do that. Okay, so right now we've got a talk that one of the talks I was most excited about for WordCamp. I'm really happy. Rebecca is a great speaker. She's got so much great experience, so much great advice. Every time I talk with Rebecca or see her speak, it's just like eye-opening, because she's done really great things with her business and has a really excellent insight. So Rebecca is the founder of Web Savvy Marketing, which is a Michigan-based agency. They provide custom website development and SEO and business coaching and support. And they also have a WordPress theme store where they develop custom Genesis child themes that you can purchase. They're all just fantastic. So I definitely recommend checking out Web Savvy Marketing online and looking at her themes and her services. So without further ado, Rebecca Gill, take it away.
That's me, by the way. I know, it's pretty. This little girl stuttered when she was a toddler. She was so shy that when new people came over, she would hide in closets. In school, she was in remedial reading. That's the really slow class. And the reason was she was so unfocused, she could not learn at the normal rate of every other child. That was then. This little girl today stands in front of you. I'm no longer shy. I'm here. So I'm definitely not shy anymore. I can read at a normal rate. I have been published in magazines. I've spoken at universities and WordCamps across the country, and I've come a really long way. One of the reasons I've come a really long way is because I found purpose and passion, and with that, I let that take me through life. Back when I was this age, I kind of wandered around. I just couldn't get it together and I couldn't focus. I really had a hard time just getting to school, to be honest with you. Getting to school was a milestone for me. Getting through the day seemed like another milestone for me. And then the idea of growing up and doing something, being successful at it, it didn't even cross my mind. No one said to me, hey, where are you going to go to college at? What are you going to do when you grow up? I kind of didn't look past tomorrow, whether I was 6 or 8 or 17. And then at 18, I went to college. I had to go to college. It was either that or I was going to work at McDonald's for the rest of my life, or I was going to go on the Army. And if you look at me, I'm kind of a sissy. I'm certainly not going to be making it through the Army. So I had to make a decision. I went to college, and I really stumbled through college too. I just still didn't find any passion or purpose or anything else, and it took me a long time to find that. But then once I did, I started to really see life in a different way. I love the Peacock, title of today's presentation. The reason I love the Peacock is when you look at the Peacock, what do you see? You see colors and vibrance and confidence, and you see the peacock strut. When you see a peacock out in the wild or at a zoo, he struts. He's magnificent. He captivates your attention, and he does so because he's beautiful. He has so much confidence. He imprints on you. When you leave the zoo, who do you remember? You don't remember. Well, you might remember the monkeys because they're goofy, but I remember the peacock. I remember the peacock because he's so beautiful. He imprints on me. He really leaves something for me when I walk away, and he's no longer with me. The reason peacocks are unforgettable is because they're so full of those vibrant colors, and they strut, they're leaders, they're confident, they command your attention, and they create an audience. A peacock has, by the way, a harem of peahens. He doesn't just have one, he's got a bunch. But I mean, look at him. He's gorgeous. And he's unique and he's easy to remember. And so I thought one day about the peacock, and I started to really think peacock is like marketing and branding. It's what we do when we try to brand ourselves, and particularly online, we try to be a peacock. And it was at that moment I truly fell in love with him. This is a peahen. She's the girl. In nature, who is pretty? It's the boy. The girl is just kind of drab. I thank God we have makeup. Right? Yeah. So she's the peahen, and she's drab. And the reason she's drab is because she has to blend into the environment. She needs to make sure that she's the mom who's taking care of her babies, and she can't be strutting around with her big, beautiful colors when she's supposed to be keeping the eggs precious and contained. And nature's cruel that way. I mean, we are born peahens. We are not born peacocks. I mean, they are, the boys are, but most of us, we're not born peacocks, we're born peahens. We're ordinary. We're a bit boring. I mean, we Google and, we smile at our moms and dads, but we blend in, right? We don't make a statement. I talk to people each and every day about marketing and blogging and branding and web design, and I encounter a lot of people who want to be peahens. The reason they want to be peahens is they're not ready to stand out. They want to kind of blend in on the internet, and they don't want to go out and blog and set themselves out there for failure or ridicule or anything else. And the problem with that is when you're in that protective mode, like the peahen is with her babies, you don't get noticed. Nobody sees you. And if they do happen to see you, they forget you because these are your colors. So when I was thinking about the peacock and branding, I looked at the peahen and I looked at the peacock, the drab versus the beautiful, and the more and more I thought about it, the more I realized that when you put yourself out there on the internet, when you try to work on branding, when you try to establish yourself as an expert, you are being the peacock. You're showing your colors, you're showing those vibrance, you're being a leader, you're showing your confidence. And in doing that, you're doing the same thing that the peacock does. You're bringing in your harem. You're making people come and notice you and remember you, and you're imprinting on them. How many people in here feel like they're peacocks? Raise your hand. Okay, well that's like 5, and you, I'm not surprised that you think that you're okay. How many people in here feel like peahens? Be honest with me. Okay, how many people in here want to be a peacock? Everybody should raise your hand. You need to be a peacock. If you're in here today and you're involved in the WordPress community, be a peacock. You have the ability to be a peacock, and I'm going to talk you through my story of going from that little girl who stuttered and hid in the closets, and I really did hide in the closets when I was a kid to stay away from new people, to where I'm at today, where I can come and speak in front of you, or I could go to Michigan State University and speak in front of their classes. It's a transformation, and you too can be a peacock. You just need to let yourself do it. Okay, so finding your passion. To me, I believe this is the very first step. If you don't have passion, it is very difficult to become a peacock because you don't have anything to fuel you and to make you feel vibrant and colorful. When I was in college, I got a degree in accounting. How exciting is that? Yeah. I was told when I waited tables in college and people would ask what my major was, I was told I would never go into accounting. They're like, you're way too talkative. So apparently I was coming to be a little bit of a peacock back then. That's just because my money depended on it. They were right. So I got out of college with my accounting degree and I needed a job. My very first job was at a temp agency through account temps because the economy kind of stunk back then, and that's what I could get for like $11 an hour. So at my first job, I was supposed to be data entry for 2 weeks. I got on this job, my little blue suit, because that's what they told us accountants that we were supposed to wear. Sat there with my computer, and I was trained on this software system. It's an enterprise software system, and so it did order, entry, inventory, blah, blah, blah. I was just supposed to do invoicing for them. 3 days later, after being trained, I retrained my trainer. I'm not kidding. The reason was, is I fell in love. I had this software, and it was my first true experience with software and binary code and seeing what it really could do for when you were given it. And so I went into that software package. It had 1,000 screens and 1 million lines of code. And I'm not exaggerating with that. And when nobody was looking, I was peeking in behind stuff where it wasn't supposed to be, and I was going over to the general ledger because they didn't know enough at the time to lock stuff down. I was in inventory control. I was in receivables and seeing what the Department of Defense was buying. I was all over the town. Which is why I could retrain the trainer 3 days later, because I really loved it. Why everybody else in the organization hated this software, I was in love. And every new screen I went to, I fell deeper in love. I thought it was amazing. This binary code could do all this. It could enter orders and ship and take in revenue, and I thought it was amazing. That was the start of me finding my passion. And when I realized, when I worked for that company 3 years, my 2-week assignment turned into 3 years, I had control. I could change my destiny through binary code. I didn't code anything, I just used it. And I really realized that that was the start for me of everything else in life. That was my start of finding my passion and finding my purpose. I worked for that company for 3 years, and when I left, I went to go work for the company that wrote the software. I worked for them for 9 years. And then when I was at that company, we created a website because we needed some leads. Our website we created in Joomla. We hired a firm to do it, and we had a blog in WordPress. So for me, I met WordPress and Joomla the first day, or the same time. I like Joomla. Everybody know what Joomla is? It's a software package like WordPress. It's a whole lot harder, a whole lot more clunky. Yeah. But I thought they were both cool. I liked Joomla. I fell in love with WordPress. It was like giving me that software package all over again. Because now what could I do? I could go into the admin panel and poke around and go into settings and go into plugins and download plugins and try them out and get rid of them and do themes and everything else I wanted to, because I was empowered. I had newfound passion. But now I had purpose, because I realized I could take WordPress and I could do great things with it. I like to give back. I like to do good. I showed you that I struggled as a kid, and there was a lot of people who just did little things to help me through. And I like to do that now for other people. WordPress helps me do that. I started our firm, and I was going to go into SEO, and because I really know SEO, but one of the things I realized was nobody had access to their websites. They had crappy HTML websites that somebody built them 5 years ago, and they didn't have the ID or anything to get access to it. So I taught myself WordPress. And when I taught myself WordPress, and I started to build a company around it, I realized that was my purpose. It wasn't just technology, it was technology with WordPress. And it was all the things I could do, whether it was build a website for a nonprofit for free or work with Michigan State University, which we've done. I had purpose. And I started to build a little team eventually to help me bring that purpose to the world. But here's something that happened. The more I did, the more people came. The more clients we had, the more referrals we had, the more people started to find me through SEO. I became so busy, I was exhausted. I was trying to do every aspect of the company. I was crabby, I was getting wrinkles, I was getting gray hair, I was short with my children, and my family finally said, dude, you gotta stop this. You need to do something different. You know you love this, but you need to change. And what I realized was, even though our company was doing really, really well, I didn't have any focus. I was back to being that little girl in school who couldn't focus long enough on reading to actually learn. And I had to fix that. So I started to try to build out what we were and who we were. And that was the beginning when I did that, of us really starting to create some branding for us as an organization. When you first asked me what we were or what we did when I founded the company, I would tell you we were internet marketers. We did internet marketing. But guess what that did? I was in a pool of everybody else. Everybody else in here could have been called internet marketers. You didn't know what the hell I did. Because I could have done anything. Could have done pay-per-click, could have done SEO, could have done Joomla, Drupal. I had nothing that differentiated us against anybody else, but I also didn't have any focus for ourselves or for our company, which was giving me gray hair, wrinkles, and driving me crazy. And I was working like 70 hours a week in that process. Now I know that we aren't internet marketers. Now we know really who we are. We're WordPress consultants. We're preferred Genesis framework developers. We're graphic designers. And oh, by the way, I kick butt at SEO. I know that's my superpower. And I know that as our company, that's what sets us apart from everybody else in the WordPress community. I also know I am not this. I am not going to be your savior when you get booted off of Google because you did nasty things 5 years ago. I'll send you to somebody else for that. I know I'm not going to manage your pay-per-click campaign because I think that's cocaine for marketers, and I don't believe it. I really do think about it. Think about that, though. True. You spend all your money in a month, and what do you have at the end of the month? Just like a quick cocaine high. You got nothing. So I'm not going to do that for you. I'll find somebody else to do that for you. I'm not link building yet for you. I'm not doing any of this for you. But guess what that did for us? It gave us focus. It made us so much more successful because then we started to stand out. We started to look different than everybody else, and I could cherry pick who I wanted to work with. And I wasn't trying to keep up with all this crap. I could focus on what we were really, really good at. You need to find the uniqueness within you. How many people in here can say, I know what's unique about me, I know what makes me special? Good. Now, how many people can truly articulate that? That is the difficult part. When I talk to people, part of every single web design process we have is, who are you? What makes you special? Because I'm trying to find what their colors are. I'm trying to get out that blue and gold and the peacock feathers to find out what makes them special, what makes them unique. And then I want to kind of help them learn that and project that on the internet. This is one of the hardest things that you can do. When I was younger, my grandmother raised me. And she was a very big advocate of not being egotistical, not being self-centered, not thinking that you're beautiful. And I agree with her from a personal level. And I counsel my 14-year-old on the same thing. She's a girl. But in internet marketing, you kind of got to shove that aside. You got to be able to say, here's who I am. Here's what I'm good at. Here's what I'm passionate about. And here's what my passion can do for you as a company or whoever else that you're helping. And this could be you're a blogger and you're blogging about something. You need to have all of that come through who you are. One of the easiest things to do in trying to bring that up and create that presence on the internet is to tell your story. Everybody in here has a story. It's the who and the what and the why of you. Whether you're a company or an individual, a blogger, whether it's the who and why of your product or your service offering, that's your story. And people want you to tell it to them. I was in California at a trade show, and it was an accounting trade show. And those are so exciting. And I'm the booth chick, and I'm in the booth all by myself because it's small booths. And there's this guy next to me, and this is when I used to work for the software company. He's an older guy. He's like, hey, I know you. I'm like, no, you don't, because I'm a Michigan girl, and you're in California, and you really don't know me. Day-long trade show. The guy kept coming up to me going, I know you. I know you. And I'm all like 27 at this point or something. I mean, I'm still young. I'm going, this guy is freaking me out. So then I realized his wife's in the booth next to him, and they work together. And so now he's not creeping me out so much, but he's still really adamant about the fact that he knows me. And I know I've never met him before. His name is Jay, by the way. He still follows me today on social media and comments and likes my stuff on LinkedIn. So then, after like 6 hours, he goes, I know how I know you. And I'm like, okay, great. How do you know me? He goes, you're a blogger on IT Toolbox. I blogged about ERP software, and it's really exciting stuff. And he goes, and I follow your blog. I had 4,000 followers back then, which is a lot in the late 90s, because most people didn't know what the heck blogging was back then. So I was totally a nerd. But not only did he know he followed me on this blog, he comes and he tells me, You wrote a blog about the Girl Scout cookies and how you use what you do in the software for the Girl Scout cookies and distribution. And I looked at him, which I did. And so then he starts going through my other blog posts and telling me the other stuff. And I'm sitting looking at him going, holy cow. That spook factor just kind of escalated up. But in all of that, this is how I stood out during the ERP software days. Now keep in mind, my little company that I worked for, I was the VP of marketing in Toledo, Ohio. We had 25 people in our company. I competed against Microsoft and Oracle and SAP, who had $1 million advertising and budgets. I stood out in blogging because I told my story, where all of them were sitting talking about features and functions and really boring stuff that nobody ever really cares about. I talked about me and how I would utilize our software, or how I would interact with our clients and what I learned from our clients and what they used our software for. I always brought the blog back to the software because that's what I was selling, but I gave something personal of myself in the process. I helped tell my story and the story of our company and our software, and people remembered that. Now Jay, in the booth next to me, couldn't tell you the name of my software or the name of my company, but that's okay. He remembered me, and he remembered that we were in the software business, and that's good. I mean, I imprinted on him just like the Peacock will imprint on somebody else. So creating a strong brand is vital to being that peacock. And I will be honest with you, when I first started, I'm self-taught in internet marketing, by the way. I'm self-taught in SEO and web design and everything else that's not accounting related. The idea of branding scared the snot out of me. It did. It was like I had to have a college degree in it to really know what was going on. I needed to be a graphic designer. I had to have all of this because I saw all these pencils and the colors, and it didn't need to scare the snot out of me, because with branding, especially if you're running a small business or a blog, or you're a developer and you're trying to get yourself out and into the internet world and get noticed, you can start small. You don't need to worry about what Oracle and SAP and everybody else was doing. I just need to worry about what we were doing and about us, and making sure that we had a cohesive image that we were projecting to people. Basic things, a company name, a tagline, a logo. When I had a logo created professionally for our company, I felt real. I felt tangible. It was the best thing I could have spent money on because it gave me a basis for everything else. It set the color tones and the fonts, and it kind of just gave you a look and a feel, and that bled into the website, and that became things we used on social media. It was the foundation that we needed to protect ourselves in a professional manner. And I believe, there's lots of different ways that you can look at branding and branding elements, but from an internet marketing perspective in a small business or a developer or a blogger, you don't need to worry about all of the big boy stuff. You need to worry about this. You need to make sure that all of that tells your story, and it's a representation of who you are and who you want the world to know that you are and who you want to be. It needs to articulate what you're passionate about and how that passion can help others. No matter what you decide that your brand is, you need to be the brand. You need to own the brand. Whether you're purple or green or red or blue, or you're black and white like the peahen, you need to own it. And this is something that I struggled with for a while, especially in the WordPress community where I don't code. I don't have professional graphic design. I have a graphic designer who works at our company. She does. But all of those skill sets that you might expect to be associated with WordPress, I didn't have them. I had a team that did them. And I had this kind of inferiority complex, right? I just didn't feel like I could be the brand. And the business has been in place for over 5 years. I just started actively going to conferences and speaking at conferences a year ago. So for years, I kind of held back. I didn't even go anywhere. And then I went to Pressnomics, and then I started to go to WordCamps, and I realized, you know what? I can be the brand. I'm proud of our brand. I'm proud of who we are and what we do and the story that I have to tell. And then I kind of owned my colors. When you own your colors, life's a lot more easier. I had to really start thinking about what makes me special to be able to be the brand. I had to look less at I can't code and I'm not a graphic designer and more at what makes my colors vibrant. Who in here knows who Chris Lama is? If you don't know him, you should know him. He's a blogger. He blogs daily, and I mean literally daily, about branding, internet marketing, and everything else. So his name is Chris Lema, Lema, and his website is chrislema.com. Very well known in the WordPress community. He's a keynote for a lot of conferences. He's now CTO at Crud Favorite, which is a large WordPress development shop. So I met Chris in person probably like a year and a half ago, right? And he had followed me on the internet, and I knew who he was, and started to to build a relationship with him. So at WordCamp Las Vegas, he pulled me aside, literally said, "Let's have a talk." He's a big guy, and I'm like, oh, okay. So here's the talk he had. It was a one-on-one sit-down. And if you see him at a conference, you'll see he has a posse that goes around him and people follow him around. Well, he made time to have the one-on-one with me because apparently I really needed it. And he sat me down and he said, "Listen, we need to talk about what you're doing." I'm like, "What am I doing?" He goes, "When you meet someone at a WordCamp, the first thing you say is, 'I can't code.'"
Yeah.
And apparently I was doing it, and I didn't even realize it because I felt inferior to all of these other people who I thought were like master coders. And that was the first thing that came out of my mouth, and I sat there and I went, "Oh my gosh, I am really doing that." He's like, "Yes." He's like, "Stop doing it." He's like, "You have so much to offer, focus on that." And what he was telling me was, own your colors. Be the brand that you are. You've got a lot to be proud of. When he gave his keynote at WordPress Las Vegas, midway through the keynote, and it's on WordCamp TV, it's a really good keynote, he starts talking about a woman who has an inferiority complex. And I'm sitting in the back, and I'm like, it was me. It was all me. But the nice thing is he took the conversation that we had one-on-one about owning my colors, he put it into the presentation and expounded on it and did a room freaking full of people, right? But he's like, she has so much to be proud of. She's accomplished so much and come so far. Yeah, she doesn't see it in herself. She does it for clients, but for herself, she doesn't see it. She needs to see it. And he was telling me, own my colors. So from me to you, own your dang colors because life will be easier and you'll realize that how much of a difference it changes for you. And I couldn't be here speaking at all these different WordCamps if I came up to you, the very first thing I said is, "I'm sorry, I don't code." You can't do that. Okay, so once you start to find your purpose and your passion and you start to build your confidence and you start being your brand and you start owning your colors, you need to do what I did. You need to step out in the community. You started today because you're here, which it took me, I think, 3 years to get to where you're sitting today. 3 or 4 years, I don't know. It took me a long time. It seems like forever. This picture was taken at Pressnomics 2, which was last year, and that's Chris Lum up there, by the way. Mm-hmm. This is Kareem. He's the CEO of Crowd Favorite. This is Debbie Sorrow. She works with me. She's in the back of the room. Debbie and I had just met them, in person the night before. The day before. I mean, it was like the morning before. I don't know. We hadn't known them very long. But we clicked and we had a good time and we started to develop a relationship, and then the next day, here's we are. So here's what that did, is I let myself own my colors and be my brand and be the Peacock. And in being the Peacock, I realized people liked me. He liked the fact that I was sassy and that I was good with my blue and gold colors, and I was just going to put them out there. And if I had a red personality, I don't care if you don't like it. I've got a red personality, and really look that up because I do. It's totally me. But it took me a while to get out there and to be able to feel confident enough to be able to make these connections. They're my good friends. Can't wait to see them in WordCamp San Francisco. Once you're a Peacock, you're not finished with the process until you get out into your community. You need to mingle and strut and show off your feathers. Show your colors. Be personable. Read other people's blogs. Comment on them. You can start online. That's what I did. Go on Twitter. How many people are on Twitter? How many people communicate with other people on Twitter? How about people you don't know? Good, I'm proud of you. Because that took me probably 4 years to do. And here's how I started with WordCamps Talking. Chris Lema, again, before I met him in person, started peppering me on Twitter one Friday night that I should be speaking at a WordCamp. I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. Then my friend Carrie Dills said, let's go and we'll do a talk together at WordCamp Miami. And she kind of sucked me into that. And so then they changed the date and Carrie had to drop up. She had a conflict, and guess who got stuck speaking at WordCamp Miami all by herself? And I was really nervous. I got through it, and I've done multiple WordCamps since. I had to get out there and mingle and strut, and I had to give back and to teach. Once you're a Peacock, you need to give back. There's so many ways that you can give back. Speak at events, jump on a Google Hangout. I was just on one Monday night, and I was on one again Thursday. Attend conferences, answer forum questions. Go to wordpress.org and answer some forum questions. Connect with people on LinkedIn. There's so many things that you can do to get yourself out there in the community, because you can't be an island and be successful in marketing on the internet. You can't. No one's going to remember you. No one's going to see you. It's like being the peahen in the black and white colors. You've got to be vibrant. And part about being vibrant is getting out there in real life or in virtual events or virtual activities and communicating and interacting with people. I wrote a blog post recently about remembering the superhero within you. And here's why. There are days when I feel like I am the little girl who stutters, who still can't read really well, who can't focus. And I feel like that little girl is still in me. And I have to fight it. I've got to remember that, you know what, 5 years ago, I quit my job in the middle of a recession and I started a business. I taught myself WordPress. I taught myself how the basics of design. I hired a team, and we do really well now. And I've got to remember that. I have what's called the imposter syndrome, where you doubt who you are and your ability to succeed, even if you have success. I have to remind myself that inside me somewhere is a superhero. And we all have superhero skills that are different from each other. And you need to remind yourself frequently what those are, so that you don't have that imposter syndrome, so it doesn't derail you. How many of you have gone on the internet to competitor websites and looked at what they have? You looked at their blogs, their product or service pages, you look at their social media accounts, and you compare yourself to them. How many people are disappointed that you don't match up to what they have? You can always find somebody who's doing better than you are. That doesn't mean you're a failure. That means that you're not focusing on what's important in you. You're not remembering that inside you is a superhero. And you have a skill set. I didn't still believe it in myself until, I would say recently. And I would still have that little girl inside me chirping that, I can't do things. Instead of coming up here today, I need to be home hanging out in my closet and just, playing with my dolls. I don't know what I did back then. I can tell you I was not making friends eagerly because I was so shy. But you need to remember that. You need to let that person come out. And that can be in blogging and public speaking or anything else that you do online. But you need to let that come out so you can be the peacock. I know that I am a peahen by birth, but I am a peacock by choice. I became a peacock by finding something I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about technology. I'm passionate about where technology can take us in the world. I see how different my children are than what I was as a child and how many advancements they have available to them that we never had. And we have a lot of that because of technology. I built a business out of it from nothing. I pulled from my 401k to be able to get started. I paid back my 401k. But that passion and then the purpose of helping others with that technology that I love so much gave me some focus and by that I found the beauty within me and I became a peacock. If you don't feel like you're a peacock today, know that you can be a peacock. As you go into next year or you leave here today, let me rephrase it. As you walk out of this room today, and Kyle talked about lunch, don't let the peahen and the imposter syndrome take over. Be the peacock. Walk up to me and introduce yourself. Walk up to anybody else you want to know, because guess what? It's WordCamp. We want you to do that. We want you to embrace us. We want you to greet us, and we want to embrace you back, because that's who we are. Especially if we're up here speaking, we got a little bit of peacock in us. We want to share that with everybody else. I'm Rebecca Gill, and I am a Peacock. I am a mother of two, a wife, and I really believe I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I didn't decide I was going to be a peacock, but that peacock inside me came out because I let it come out. I hope that you all become peacocks if you are not already peacocks, and that you squash your imposter syndrome and you put away the peahen. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Rebecca?
Could you talk a little bit about how you got your first clients 5 years ago?
Sure. That's a funny story. And it really is. So when I quit my job, I was making 6 figures a year as a VP of marketing. And I just quit. In the middle of a recession, I was done. My husband looked at me and he goes, so, dude, how are you going to get clients? And I go, I'm going to blog. And I'm going to use social media. I'm like, I've been blogging since blogging came out. I'm just going to keep doing that. But I got to tell you, inside, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to do this? So I blogged. I talked about what I knew. I talked about SEO. I focused, even though I didn't have like full focus back then, but I focused on what I was good at. I was good at SEO. And so I talked about that. My sweet spot was technology and did the B2B sector. So I talked about those kind of situations and what I had learned in blog posts. I shared it on LinkedIn. And then what happened was, even though it was in the middle of recession, people in my old industry saw me doing that, saw that I left the company, and they knew what I had done at that company. And they said, hey, can you help us out? And then one by one, I kept dealing with ERP software related stuff and enterprise software stuff, which is important. But that kind of gave me that entrance. And then I kind of kept trying to grow. I mean, it was one customer, one referral, social media, blogging. Notice I keep saying blogging and social media because they're pretty powerful. And now today, we get business from a lot of things, but I will tell you, we don't do anything online unless I've looked at the SEO of it and the value of it pretty much, and I have a plan. I use a lot of data. Yes?
So you said you taught yourself WordPress. So I still remember when I first did WordPress, I was like, okay, this front part's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking at the code and I went, holy crap, what did I get myself into?
Me too.
Okay, I was wondering if that was the same.
Yeah, so here's what I did. I started with a theme from Corey Miller at iThemes. It was like a flex theme, I think. Then I found Brian Gardner from Studio Press's theme called Corporate, and I hacked the snot out of it. And I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I pity the people that had that website now, looking back, because I did the best that I could, you know, and teaching myself, and I used the WordPress forums. I think the most important thing that you can do as an entrepreneur or as a business owner is to recognize what you're not good at and find somebody who is good at it. And you don't have to hire people full-time. You can find people who want to help you part-time. I have a lot of part-time people. They've been with me 3 to 4 years. They don't want to be full-time. They've got things they want to do on the side. And while I might be the majority of their time, that works for us, you know. So, and it was now I don't go through the visual editor and WordPress to hack the code, which they really want to sometimes, but I know my guys would kill me. You know, I have a graphic designer, I have a project manager, she's in the back of the room. We have a data entry person. I have somebody who does help out with SEO, you know what I mean? So it's finding those things that you're not ideal at and then focusing on what you are good at. And it is a hurdle to get to that point because you have to have enough money and enough business to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's a leap of faith. It is. My husband and I have had probably 3 different leaps of faith in the last 5 years. We've had to say, okay, you've got to go to the next level. You've got to pull from the 401k to fuel this growth. And we did. We have a theme store. We have 35 themes in the theme store. I spend thousands of development in each theme. It's a lot of investment, but it was planned and knowing those, again, taking that leap. Yes?
Who was the first person that you hired? Did you start off virtually?
This is another funny story. I'm very honest with my mistakes, if you've not noticed. So my very first website, which was the Studio Press corporate theme, was for someone from my old industry, and it was like a 300-page website or something. I went to go move it from development to live. Well, I didn't understand the whole MySQL database and the URL structure, and I totally blew everything up when I went to visit. Whatever I had read on the internet isn't quite what I had done, and everything just went. I had like the white screen of death, and then when I got that gone, the links still weren't working. I mean, it was just a disaster. So I started calling people on the internet, whoever, WordPress consultant, WordPress, whatever, Googling. Chris Cree answered the phone at my 10th call or something, and he's like, okay, calm down, I can help you. I paid emergency rates for Chris Cree to help me. Chris Cree works with us today. The theme store that we have was actually his idea. He's a senior coder on our team. That it was a moment of insanity and heartbreak and desperation. But then once I found somebody good, I always stayed in contact with them until I could get them on my team. And you're gonna go through, if you're looking for assistance with things, you're gonna go through a lot of crap before you get the gems. And the key to that is once you start to see the crap, get rid of it as fast as you can. Let them go. And it's a hard thing to do, but they're like bad apples. It just starts to infect everything else, whether it's emotionally or the work just, it cascades into bad to everything else just gets corroded. So just get rid of them, just move on. And it's heartbreaking because you want everybody to be great, and you want to do well, and you want to have a good relationship with them, but to recognize that, yeah, they're not a good fit and just move forward. Yeah. But a lot of times they see it coming. They're like, thank you, we're not a good fit. You need more than I can offer, or they say something and they know.
Google them. That helps too sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Nowadays, do your new clients come just from referrals?
So we're really good at SEO. So we're on page 1 for a lot of stuff. It's SEO, it's social media, it's referrals from existing clients, and it's repeat clients. Surprisingly enough, when you do a good job with somebody for one website, they tend to find another reason they want a website and they come back, which perplexes me. I don't.
They're addictive.
They are addictive. That is, yeah. So now it's really a mixture, and it's funny because I think it's a snowball effect. So if you're starting out with whatever it is, whether a developer, or a non-developer, it takes a while. It's like trying to get the first 500 followers on Twitter. It takes a while to get that, and it's so painful to get to that point. But then once you do, that takes over, and it just grows. So now when I launch a theme, I put it on, it's a product, I put it on the internet, and I put it on social media, and all my people that like us and follow us promote it for me. I mean, and it took a while for us. We didn't get to that probably a year ago. And I think part of getting to that was me getting out of my dang office and out of my chair and going out. Jumping on the podcast, going to a WordCamp, speaking or saying hello to somebody at a WordCamp. It took part of that. But yeah, so now it's our incoming leads and our clients are very diverse.
So are you finding that the themes are the higher part of your business, or is it actually branding clients from logo all the way out?
Yeah, we do, I'd say 50% of our business is custom development, custom WordPress development. 20% is probably theme sales. And then there's another 20% that's business, like customizations and assistance with those theme sales, where people are like, well, I bought your theme, but because it's a dentist, he's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, we got a package for that, Go to this page, it says all the stuff we can do for you, and there's a price, just let us know. I'm like, Debbie back then will take great care of you. So that's like another 20%, and then we have 10% of select people we keep on retainer that we do work for every month. But I'm really picky on that because I don't want any nightmare staying with me every month. I like to kind of ferret that relationship out, and if I like it, then we'll keep you.
Yeah, they stick around like 10 years.
The bad ones do. It's because they can't find anybody else.
They're vampires.
They are vampires.
Yeah.
Anybody else?